Pump it up, pump it up.
Trae.
Come on, come on.
With Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with Trae.
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peeps that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I get to welcome you to this fantastic Friday. I'm going to deem this Friday a Fields Friday because we got Harold Fields in the building. Oh my goodness, the owner of Umami Kushi, and I'm so excited that he's here. Y'all know on Converge we have covered his amazing restaurant several times, but they do great work, and I'm so glad I get to dive into his whole history of opening this amazing restaurant and why he's chosen to produce such a unique offering on his menu. But of course, before I get into it with him, I get to wrap this week with you, and this is of course the top of the show. Y'all, so this is the perfect time. Tag those others that you feel could benefit from the daily dose of dopeness we give you here on the Day with Trae. Let them know we're here and that they can actually benefit from the phenomenal stories we work to cover here on our show. I'm so grateful for all of you who have been rocking with the Day with Trae over the years. And as we are getting more and more notice because of course the Emmy win, it really is a testament to all of you who have been there when we only got 2 views on YouTube. I get it, but I tell you the phenomenal impact that I keep hearing about how we are producing phenomenal stories right here on this show is a benefit to you. That is going to keep me going. So thank y'all so much for sharing the show, for watching, for supporting. I appreciate all that you are doing. But make sure, of course, if you can't watch us, you can always tap into the podcast version, y'all. You can listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network in the Day with Trae. You'll find us on your favorite platforms. Now, before I get into it with Harold here, I gotta say that I get really excited when food is good. Now, I am one who is learning, and Lord knows it is a learning process to say, I need to eat what my body needs, right? Like, so there's this balance that I need to make in my life. Can I make healthy food that tastes really great? Can I purchase healthy food that tastes really great? I need to be cautious of things in my family like high blood pressure or diabetes or heart disease, all of these things that really become apparent as you get older in age, right? But it's true. Part of me, and what I'm always telling my youngest son is, the more I know, the better I want to do for him. And so preparing healthy meals at home means I need to understand what ingredients we are putting into our bodies. And I'm so grateful when we have restaurateurs and chefs out here who really understand that we want to provide something so uniquely good, but we also are caring about what we're pouring in to our ingredients. And I will say, there are some phenomenal, amazing places right here in our region that are doing just that. And I'm grateful that we get to learn more about why they chosen to go that route, how they're doing it, and exactly how the community is receiving them. So I'm really grateful because, you know, with folks like Harold Fields in this world, we know that there are people who are doing good for us and ensuring that we are getting the nutrients we need out of good food. But sometimes I just got to eat what I need because I'm like, that's what my body needs. Okay, I don't necessarily like the taste, but I don't care about the taste. I'm going to go for it. Or less salt over here. Okay, that's not a problem. It's better for me, right? So I'm encouraging y'all, let's stay healthy, y'all, by being mindful of what we are choosing to put into our bodies. I think it's so important, and as I'm learning more, y'all know I gotta share it with you. Well, after this short break, up next, we got Harold Fields in the building, y'all. We're gonna be talking all things Umami Kushi. Can't wait to dive into it with him. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Hey, you want some
ain't the same.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Acts on Stage presents Detroit 67. This award-winning story chronicles a family having a house party while the city is on fire, and a country dancing to the new sound as it finds itself in the dust of one of the most explosive periods in American history. It seems like it's all coming together and falling apart.
You talking that slick talk with me when I've been
I'm not
drinking?
trying to cause you any trouble.
You've been this whole time as a bunch of trouble.
What the hell you doing in Detroit?
This Seattle debut runs November 14th to the 23rd at Acts on Stage Theater. Get down with the get down of Detroit 67.
In Seattle, it's more than just coffee. It's community. At the station, we brew more than just your favorite cup. We brew connection. From Beacon Hill to Columbia City, we're a space for artists, activists, and everyone in between. A place to gather, create, and simply be. Whether you need a quiet place to work, a lively spot to meet friends, or just a moment to unwind, find your place at the station. More than coffee, it's home. Visit us in Beacon Hill or Columbia City. The station, where community happens.
Like a warm cup of tea, coffee, or your favorite bowl of soup, Washington Health Plan Finder is here for you. Whether you're exploring your options or need help finding a health insurance plan that meets your needs, you can count on us. Visit wahealthplanfinder.org today. Open enrollment begins November 1st and ends January 15th, 2026.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now is Harold. Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Well, it's been great to see us featuring you, but I was like, I got to get you into the studio too, because there's always a phenomenal story behind someone saying, I'm going to do a small business that's bringing this kind of unique offering like you do at Umami Kushi to the community. Tell us a bit about what got you started and why you chose this unique menu.
Yeah, well, I think when I was working in restaurants, and before I started this, I was, doing this as a side project, as a chef. And I started looking at like the food trends, what was happening, and how people were eating. And at that point in time, this was probably in 2015 where I first started to like really dig into this concept as a business. But I started looking at how the restaurants, the prices were starting to rise. And this was at a time when Uber Eats and these delivery services started to come on board and come online. And they started changing the game of how people were getting access to grab and go style foods. And so I started looking at that and I said, okay, this is where the future is taking us. The full service sit down style of restaurants, I don't know how long that's going to be, or how the price points, lunch price points, are going from $10 to $20 or $25. So I was selling, making my okazu pans as part of what we eat at home, and I had some friends buying them. And I was in a couple of coffee shops just doing favors for friends. And I started realizing like these things started selling, but then I started looking around saying, there's nothing like it. There's nothing that is savory, grab and go, portable, efficient. And that's when I really started to like dig into it. It took a while to kind of realize this is a business, because when I first started, I only had 2 flavors, and I was like, well, 2 flavors isn't enough to sustain a full-on business. So, I started digging into, a lot of different flavors in order to, take that plunge. But, that was the early beginning stages of it. But one of the biggest keys that pushed me forward was, and I kind of tell this to a lot of people who are starting and living, kind of want to do their own business, is, if you recognize a need for your project and your business, you will have a greater chance of it being successful.
Yeah.
And I started looking around, and at that time, most of the coffee shops and cafes only had sweets, cookies, scones, and those kind of things. And I would just roll along in there with, at that point in time, it was beef curry and lentil, are still 2 of our top flavors. But I roll into a coffee shop and like, oh, you got savory, you got this thing. And it really made a huge difference for them, because now they had a savory offering in the afternoon. And so that's when I started to really dig into like, this is potentially a good business that I can get into.
Well, I'll tell you, the first time I had okazupan. Someone actually introduced it to me. Have you tried this? And I was like, no. And they were like, they have like a vegan one. You could try the lentil. And I was like, and I tell you, I'd never had anything like it. So then I was like, where does this come from? Japan? Like, what is it? So give us a bit of the origin, because okazupan is like a dough, right, with filling inside. But just give us, like, what is this and where did it come from?
Yeah, well, when I was in Japan, my wife's from Yokohama, so I spent time there and I worked there in a yakitori restaurant. But during my time there, I was always eating beef curry. And you see them at all the bakeries, and you see them at convenience stores. But this beef curry is this little fried pastry that's got this curry in it. And in Japan, curry is everywhere. Mm-hmm. It is, it's just everyone has eaten curry or cooked curry, and so it just kind of made sense, like they would put curry in this dough and fry it. So it was so easy for me. So when I came back here, I started I didn't see that anywhere. Okazupan is kind of a term to describe small grab-and-go pastries. They can be a lot of different ways. They can be open face, closed. In this case, the way we do it, but it's usually like this smaller, savory bite. And so when I saw that, I just got to working on our technique, and being in Japan and being around a lot of the ingredients, I really started focusing on what type of flavors we want to incorporate with what we do. But what's interesting is the curry in Japan differs from a lot of different regions and prefectures throughout Japan, and one of the ones that I found really wonderful was when I was in Kamakura. The curry was really dark. It was rich. It reminded me of gumbo because it had that darkness to it, and it just had that flavor. And so when I started getting into the curry, I actually started making a dark roux to make our curry base. And then we would incorporate the curry and the beef in there. And so that's kind of how the flavor that we have today is still, it's still, like I said, our #1 seller. Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised by it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, I'll say that the grab and go concept, I think you just really hit the nail on the head there. And it was genius to have them at coffee shops, because you're absolutely right. I mean, that was where I started going to the coffee shop just to get okazupan. So, to be honest, I mean, that was genius, right? And then
by default.
Well,
but it's funny. Later on. I was in a coffee shop. It was called Tin Umbrella. Now it's now Onda, but that was the first coffee shop. And I was in there one day, and Joya, at that time the owner, her pastry case was empty, and I'd go in usually in the afternoons. And I was, asking her about the pastries. Like, well, I can't find any pastries, and anyone to, make a small enough amount to deliver to us. Everyone, we have to go through these companies and minimum charges and all that. Mm-hmm. And I just said, okay, well, I'll bring you something I guarantee no one has. And that's when I first started bringing her the curry breads. And, later on, they were selling out. They would just be selling, and so much to a point where I couldn't go to the coffee shop anymore because people were asking me when I was delivering again. So I'm like, okay. But that's when I kind of started to realize, at the same time, that's when there was also this shift from people eating at lunch and going to lunch for work meetings. They started going to coffee shops for a lot of the reasons I said. People didn't want to go through. They didn't want to spend 30 to 45 minutes on a lunch going through the sit down, the server, these kind of things. So coffee shops started to be the places where people start doing their lunch meetings because they had more free time. Yeah. And I can get in and get out. And that's why the coffee houses start to explode in the last probably 15 years as this place of networking and where people gather, right? Well, time that with me making this kind of little savory portable item, and I think they just kind of came together, and that's why, I'm seeing, success with the coffee shop and the partners that we had, or that we have now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. And I tell you, to come across your shop, I got so excited. I was like, oh. And then I go in there and I'm like, oh my goodness, now you have so many flavors. Tell us about how you've been incorporating new options, even the chicken and beignets, right, on the weekends. But tell us how you started to really build up that menu from those first 2 items.
Yeah, well, I started this business. I was a chef when I started this business. And one of the hardest challenges I had to face when I started was, this notion that chefs like to change. They like to, get into seasonal ingredients. They like to do all these things. In the beginning, it was a struggle for me because I had to get people to understand what okazupan was, how to pronounce it. And I had to go through all those type of things coming up with a new food that no one has seen. And so it took me a while to put it in place where I had the structure. And I figured, okay, well, we'll do 5 flavors and we'll keep the 5 flavors. And then after that, I can kind of get into the rotation. And fast forwarding to where we are now, we do have our staple group, the beef curry, jerk chicken, barbecue pork, salmon, lentil. Those are the ones that we always have. Then I started to okay, now let me get into the things that are close to me, right? Peruvian chicken, my brother-in-law's from Puerto Rico. We have mofongo. I spent time in New Orleans, and all throughout my travels, I started incorporating things and flavors that I've worked with. Of course, my time in Japan, so there's yakisoba noodles. There's chicken curry. So I started just doing the flavors that are really close to home. But what I also realized are these are flavors that not only do I like to eat, but that are comfort food to people. And I think the key with these are not the fact that they're just something that's put together, but most of the people that eat them, it reminds them of it's comfort.
Yeah.
In this little tiny bun that's grab and go. So, I had a young person tell me that our yakisoba chicken, she loved it. It reminded her of her home. But she's Filipino, and she ate the chicken adobo, and she was like, oh my goodness, it reminds me of my grandmother's cooking. So it's things like that that I come across that let us know, okay, we're really honing in on the kind of flavors that are familiar with people, even though the packaging and the display of them is a little different than they've seen.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you have that level of thought around it because, stepping in there, when I saw all of the different options, I went, wow, there's something special about these choices and them being together because they kind of represent this rainbow coalition, have you, right?
Yeah, true,
all over the
true,
world
yeah.
type of flavors. And I think that really plays well for your business. But, you're doing great work. You're making an impact in the community. And for some, they're able to try these new flavors because they are packaged in a small way where maybe they don't want to spend, like you said, I don't know where to find Peruvian chicken, but I can try it in the okazupan. So you're also giving folks who don't have any idea what some of these flavors are the opportunity to try them, which I think is also special about what you do.
No doubt about it. I mean, that's, it's wonderful to see 3 or 4 people come in here, and there's always, kind of that one person in the group that's like, nah, I don't, and then as they see how the interaction with the other people are going, they realize there's something from them. Oh, and whether it's jerk chicken or Peruvian chicken, mofongo or kimchi tofu, no matter what it is, there's something that will hit a nerve with them, and pretty soon they're on board. And it's also great to see and you've been there on a Saturday and you see a lot of different cultures in there. Yeah. So, I love the fact that, we have just everyone running through there, and they could be there at the same time, whether, they're African American or they're Asian or, Filipino or Latino, young, old. They're in there at one time, and I love seeing that because everywhere, a lot of places in the city, you're seeing a specific group, whether it's an older group going out to dine or a dining type of group, or, you know, families at a certain place, but it's hard to really see them all in a grab and go setting and they're interacting really quickly. And so I think that's something I really take a lot of pride in, and I love seeing that, especially in the city of Seattle, where we really talk about the diversity in the city.
Yeah.
And to be able to see that, also the fact that, you know, we're in Rainier Beach, and so there's not a lot of things, food businesses in Rainier Beach, and the ones and the few that are there do a really great job. But most of the foot traffic when I was opening in the beginning, that was coming from way outside the city.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, we were trying to track who people were driving in, and now it's gotten better because now there's more foot traffic we're seeing. But it was interesting to see how things in the beginning were. But nonetheless, you know, we still have a diversified customer base that, you know, I love. And that's what drives a lot of the flavors too. That's what drives when I'm going into, okay, what is the next flavor we're going to do? And it also has to challenge the consumer too, because I want you to walk in there, and also there's a certain level of, like, not intimidation, but like you're overwhelmed because there's so many flavors, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, which ones do I go with? And you feel rushed.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that too.
I tell you, I had that experience, and I said, I'm just going to stick with this like lentil group. Let me just make sure I get, okay, this bean, that bean, and this bean, right? But you have a new one that I love, which is the chana, right? Like
chana dal.
Chana dal, and it is like this spicy red lentil. It is so good.
Yeah.
But you were just talking to me about infusing the Indian flavors there. I mean, that's what chana is. So I love that you are constantly evolving in that way. And I just wanted to thank you for that flavor because it's phenomenal.
Welcome. Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed
but
it.
of course, I mean, I got to give you time because folks are like, where is this? How do I get on? I want some for myself. Look right there in the camera. Let them know where they find you.
Yeah, well, you know, you can find us in Rainier Beach. We're at 9099 Seward Park Avenue. On the corner of Seward Park and Rainier, where that intersection is. And we're open Tuesday through Sunday, 10 to 4-ish, although, you know, you want to get there as early as possible because we typically close once we sell out. Even though we have a wonderful cafe, we have Wi-Fi, we have all the things that can, you know, where you can come and sit and do some work. It's usually pretty quiet during the weekdays because most people are just grabbing and going. But that's where we are. We're on Instagram, you know, some of the social media platforms. And yeah, I mean, but, you know, you can also catch us in some of the grocery stores, Wajimaya, Mayuri's now carrying us in South Lake Union, and then a number of the coffee shops that we work with. But when you come into the cafe, you're going to get a lot of flavors that you're not going to see anywhere else. And there's going to be a lot of those flavors. And as many of my customers are telling me now, we're going to try every flavor. I'm like, don't tell me that. That's going to be impossible because we have, you know, smoked brisket now, you know, chicken wing now. We have, and we have one that I'm working on that I'm pretty excited about, and it's made with collard green dough. So, so that one's going to be another challenge, but that's part of it.
Well, Harold, thank you so much for your vision and for being part of this community where we get to experience your unique offerings. I can't wait to come by and try some new flavors.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the light you shine on us, and congratulations on the Emmy.
Thank you.
And, you know, for many, Converge has been a wonderful resource for many of us in the city as small businesses. I love the fact that the organic nature in which you deliver the message and communicate with the community is incredibly special for us.
Wow, we take that to heart. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness, y'all. What a way to end the week. I told you it was gonna be phenomenal. Of course, I'm gonna wrap it all up right after this short break. Stay tuned, you're watching The Day with Trae.
Hello, welcome to Elite Insights with Carlos Umami. We're looking to offer an in-depth look at event production industry through the lens of client experiences and joint successes. The podcast will emphasize guest interviews, focusing on client, discussing their fields, and reflecting on their collaboration with Elite Collective. Again, you're with Elite Insights. Carlos Umami here. See you guys in a few.
What is a bestie?
I like you.
She's fun.
It's about to be a good time.
She's always looking out for you.
Since you're my bestie, I will handle it for you.
She makes you think.
Here to uplift and empower.
She's always encouraging.
You are that girl.
Chelsea Edwards, your bestie in daytime.
I get the spiritual moments.
Chatting with Chelsea. New episodes weekdays at 5:30 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
You want to get down there because it's clear that not only is he providing amazing, unique offerings that reflect our diverse community here, but there's always something new to try. And don't we love that? Especially when you can grab and go, you can eat it as you walk down the street. It's just a phenomenal business that we want to keep on uplifting, because I'm gonna tell you right now, my mouth has been watering the entire time that I've been talking with Harold, and I will that your mouth is out there watering too. Make sure y'all stop by Umami Kushi. If you are somebody who knows that you've seen these okazu pans in your local cafe, try them. If you haven't, you will not be disappointed. There's plenty of flavors for you to find when you step inside of that restaurant right there in Rainier Beach. So I'm telling y'all, you can't go wrong. If there's one you don't like over here, get to the restaurant and try some of the others, okay? But this is so inspiring, and I really appreciate him for joining me today, because honestly, we need to continue to uplift these inspiring stories in our community of those community pillars who are right here in our backyard, doing everything they can to bring their personality, their love out for you to enjoy. So I want you to be inspired too, because you can have this as an example of how to bring your personality out, your inspiration out, and contribute to the beauty of our community. Thanks so much for being with me this week, y'all. And you know I'll be back with you next week. Until then, on Monday at 11 a.m. Peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.